I live in a small town near the sea. My name is Anna, and I am 27 years old. Every day I wake up early, long before the sun rises. I work as a cleaner in small shops and cafes. My job is not special. I sweep the floors, wash the windows, and wipe the tables. The money I earn is very little, but I need it to survive. I live alone in a small rented room above a bakery. The room is quiet, with one bed, one chair, and one table. The walls are thin. In winter, I feel the cold wind come through the cracks. In summer, the heat stays inside like fire. Still, this is my home. I eat simple food. Sometimes rice, sometimes bread with soup. I cannot buy meat or fresh fruit every day. When money is short, I skip dinner and drink only water. Some nights I sit on my bed and cry softly, because life feels too heavy. But the next morning, I always stand up again. I tell myself, Anna, you must be strong. You cannot give up. My parents passed away when I was young. I have no brothers or sisters. No close friends. My world is just work, sleep, and silence. People see me on the street, but nobody truly sees me inside. I am like a shadow walking past them. One rainy morning, I was cleaning the glass door of a small cafe. My hands were cold, my clothes wet, and my stomach empty. The sky was dark, and the streets smelled of wet dust. I almost finished when the bell of the cafe door rang. An old man walked in slowly. He wore a long coat, and his hair was gray. His steps were soft, like he carried a quiet weight inside. He sat near the window and looked at the rain. His eyes seemed tired, but not cold. They were gentle. For a moment, he looked at me. I quickly turned away, pretending to focus on my work. When I finished cleaning, I packed my cloths and brushes. As I prepared to leave, the man stood up and walked toward me. You work hard, he said in a calm voice. I was surprised. Nobody usually talked to me. It is just my job, I answered shyly. He gave a small smile. Life must be heavy sometimes. I nodded but said nothing more. Then he added softly, take care of yourself. And he walked back to his table. His words stayed in my head all day. Simple words, but warm. I was not used to kindness. The next morning, I cleaned the same cafe again. The old man came back. He smiled when he saw me and waved his hand gently. Later, when I finished work, he gave me a small cup of tea. It's warm, he said. Please, drink. I held the cup in my cold hands. The tea smelled sweet. I felt shy, but also touched. Thank you, I whispered. That night, when I sat in my little room, I thought about him. A stranger, yet he made me feel less invisible. For the first time in many years, I felt seen. The rain did not stop that week. Every morning I went to the cafe with my bucket and cloths. And every morning, the old man came too. His name was Michael. I learned this after the third day, when the cafe owner greeted him. Good morning, Mr. Michael, she said. From that moment, I knew his name. Michael always sat in the same chair, near the window. He watched the street and listened to the rain. Sometimes he read a small book with a brown cover. But most of the time, he simply looked outside, as if the world outside the glass held secrets only he could see. Each day he brought me something. The first was tea. The second was a small piece of bread. The third was a flower from his garden, a tiny yellow flower with soft petals. "You need to eat," he said gently when he gave me the bread. "You need color," he said softly when he gave me the flower. No one had ever given me such small but thoughtful gifts. Not because they were expensive, but because they carried care. I began to wait for him without knowing it. While I wiped the windows or brushed the dust from the floor, my eyes often went to the cafe door. Would he come today? Would he smile again? And when he arrived, my heart felt lighter, like a candle flame inside my chest. Michael never asked me personal questions. He did not make me feel afraid. He only spoke in simple, kind words. He told me stories about the weather, about his garden, and sometimes about old books he had read. His voice was calm, his smile steady. One afternoon, after I finished cleaning, he asked, "Do you have family here, Anna?" I shook my head. "No family. Only me." His eyes grew soft. "That must be hard." I wanted to answer, but my throat felt tight. So I stayed silent. Michael did not push me. He only said, "Even when the road is heavy, we can still walk it together with someone." That night, in my small room, I could not stop thinking about his words. Walk it together. What did he mean? Why did those words feel warm and frightening at the same time? The days passed slowly. Our meetings became part of my routine. Wake up. Work. See Michael. Receive a smile, a gift, a gentle word. Go home with a strange new feeling in my chest. One morning, the sky was clear for the first time in weeks. The sun touched the wet ground, and the air smelled fresh. Michael came, as usual, but this time he did not sit at his table. Instead, he walked directly to me. "Anna," he said, his voice more serious than before. "May I sit with you for a moment?" I nodded, unsure of what to expect. We sat on a wooden bench near the cafe door. His hands were folded, his eyes thoughtful. "You are young, and life has been unkind to you," he began slowly. "I can see it in your eyes, in the way you work so hard and carry silence inside. You should not carry everything alone." My heart beat fast. I looked at the ground, afraid of what he might say next. "I want to help you," he continued. "Not because I pity you, but because I care. I see you, Anna. Truly see you." I looked at him then, and for a moment, the world around us disappeared. No cars, no voices, no rain. Only his eyes and his words. But inside me, fear rose. What did he mean by help? What did he really want? That night, I could not sleep. His words circled in my mind like restless birds. Nobody had ever said they cared for me. Nobody had ever looked at me the way Michael did. I whispered to the ceiling in the dark, "Why me? Why now?" The next morning, I woke up with heavy eyes. I had not slept much. Michael's words stayed with me all night. "I want to help you. I see you." At work, My hands moved, but my thoughts were far away. I cleaned the cafe window, but I did not look for him. I was almost afraid to see him again. But he came. I heard the soft bell of the cafe door, and when I turned, Michael was there. He looked at me with his calm smile. In his hand, he carried an envelope. "Anna," he said quietly, "this is for you. Please read it when you are alone. Take your time. No need to answer now." I took the envelope with shaking hands. My chest felt tight. "What is it?" I asked. "Just my thoughts," he said. "My heart on paper." Then he nodded and walked away, leaving me with more questions than answers. For the rest of the day, I carried the envelope in my pocket. I was too afraid to open it. My fingers touched it again and again, but my eyes could not. That evening, back in my small room, I sat on my bed and placed the envelope in front of me. The lamp on the table made a soft light. My hands were cold, but I forced myself to open it. Inside was a simple letter, written in careful handwriting. I read each word slowly, my breath uneven. "Dear Anna, I know your life is not easy. I see your strength, but I also see your pain. I wish to help you, not only with money or food, but with a home, a family, and a promise. I am not young. My hair is gray, and my hands are old. But my heart is honest. I do not want to be alone anymore, and I do not want you to be alone either. I ask you to think about marriage with me. I can care for you, give you safety, and share my days with you. I ask for nothing but honesty and kindness. Please think. There is no pressure, only choice. Yours, Michael." My hand shook when I finished. Marriage? My mind could not believe it. I placed the letter on the table and stared at the wall. The word marriage echoed in my head again and again. Could this be real? Could he be serious? I walked around the room, my bare feet cold against the wooden floor. I thought about my life, my empty room, my quiet dinners, my lonely mornings. I thought about Michael, his soft smile, his gentle voice, his small gifts. Was this love? Or just help? Was it wrong to say yes? Was it foolish to say no? The rain outside began to fall again, hitting the window with a steady sound. My eyes filled with tears. For the first time in years, I was not crying from hunger or sadness, but from confusion and hope mixed together. I whispered to myself, what should I do? The next day, Michael came again. He stood near the cafe door, his coat wet from the rain. I held the letter in my hand when I walked to him. I read it, I said softly. My voice shook. He waited, silent, his eyes kind but serious. I looked at him, then at the street. The words left my lips before I could stop them. I will marry you. Michael did not move at first. Then, slowly, a smile spread across his face. His eyes softened, almost shining. Thank you, Anna, he whispered. Truly. There was no hug, no kiss, no applause. Just the sound of rain, and two hearts trying to believe in a strange new beginning. That night, I sat on my bed again, holding the letter close to my chest. My hands felt both warm and cold. I asked myself again and again, did I make the right choice? Or the biggest mistake of my life? The rain answered softly outside. Time would tell. The news spread quickly in the small town. People were surprised. Some whispered in the market. Did you hear? Anna, the poor girl from the cafe, will marry Mr. Michael. Is it true? He is so much older. Yes. But maybe he is kind. Maybe she is lucky. I tried not to listen. But whispers are like the wind, they always reach your ears. The wedding was simple. No big church, no long white dress. Just a small room, a table with flowers, and 2 rings. I wore a plain dress, pale blue, borrowed from my neighbor. My hair was tied back. My hand shook as I held the little bouquet. Michael wore a clean black suit. He stood tall, but I could see his hands tremble too. His eyes kept looking at me, and every time he smiled, my chest grew warm and heavy at the same time. There were only a few guests, 2 women from the cafe, my old neighbor, and Michael's friend from town. No music, no big party. But the air was full of silence and meaning. When the man asked us to speak our vows, my throat felt dry. I, Anna, promise to stay with you, I said, my voice almost breaking. Michael's deep voice followed, I, Michael, promise to care for you. The rings were simple gold. When he slipped the ring onto my finger, I felt its weight. It was not heavy in size, but heavy with meaning. After the ceremony, Michael placed his hand on mine. You are safe now, he said quietly. That night, for the first time in my life, I did not sleep alone. We sat in his house, drinking tea. The walls were warm, the chairs soft, and the kitchen full of food. I felt both strange and grateful. Michael gave me a small smile. This house is yours too now, Anna. You are not a guest. You are home. I looked around the room. A painting on the wall, a lamp glowing softly, books on the shelf, all things I never had in my little rented room. I touched the table as if to believe it was real. But inside me, questions whispered. Is this love? Or just survival? The days after the wedding were quiet. Every morning, Michael made tea while I cooked eggs. We ate together at the wooden table. It was simple, but to me, it felt rich. Sometimes we talked about little things, the weather, the flowers, the news from town. Sometimes we sat in silence, but it was not an empty silence. It was soft, like a blanket. At night, I often watched him read by the lamp. His glasses slid down his nose, and he smiled when he caught me looking. You are safe now, he repeated often. And each time I wanted to believe him more. Yet in the back of my mind, doubt still lived. People outside still whispered. She married him for money. She married him for a home. And sometimes, in the darkness of my room, I whispered to myself. Maybe they are right. But then, Michael would reach out, gently take my hand, and hold it. And in those small moments, my heart felt quiet. Life with Michael began slowly, like the first days of spring. The house was calm. The kitchen always smelled of bread and tea. The windows let in warm light. For the first time, I did not wake up afraid of rent, of hunger, of tomorrow. Every morning, Michael left early to check his shop. He owned a small furniture store in town. Chairs, tables, and wooden shelves filled his days. Wood lasts, he told me one morning. When you take care of it, it serves you for many years. Just like people. I stayed home, cleaning the rooms, cooking, and sometimes walking to the cafe to see my old friends. They looked at me differently now. Some smiled kindly, others with hidden judgment. "You are lucky," one said. "Yes," another whispered, "but luck always has a price." I carried those words with me, like stones in my pocket. At night, Michael and I ate dinner together. He asked me about my day, listened carefully, and nodded when I spoke. No one had ever done that before. Not my parents, not my neighbors, not any man I knew. One evening, after dinner, he brought a small box. "I want you to have this," he said. Inside was a silver necklace with a tiny heart. Not big, not loud, just simple. "Why?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Because you deserve something that is only yours," he said softly. I wanted to cry. No one had given me such a gift before. I touched the necklace, feeling its cold surface, and whispered, "Thank you." Still, my heart was not always light. Sometimes, when I walked in town, I heard laughter behind me. "She only married him for money," a man said once, loud enough for me to hear. I pretended not to notice, but the words cut like a knife. At night, when I lay in bed, I thought, do I love him? Or do I only love the safety he gives me? Michael seemed to sense my silence. One night he asked, "Are you happy, Anna?" The question froze me. Happy? I did not know the answer. "I am safe," I whispered. He looked at me, long and deep, but said nothing more. Days turned into weeks. Slowly, something inside me began to change. I found comfort in the small routines, his footsteps in the hall, his gentle laugh when I told a story, his warm hand on mine when I was afraid. One rainy night, we sat together near the window. The sound of rain filled the room. I looked at him reading, his glasses shining in the light, and something in my chest moved. A soft, warm feeling. It was not quick. It was not like in movies. It was slow, like a seed growing under the earth. I realized. Maybe love is not fire. Maybe it is not a storm. Maybe it is this, a quiet rain, a steady hand, a safe home. But just when I started to believe, life reminded me that nothing is simple. One afternoon, while Michael was at the shop, a woman came to the house. She was tall, with sharp eyes and red lips. She looked at me as if I were a mistake. "You are Anna?" she asked. "Yes," I answered carefully. "I am Clara. Michael's old friend." Her eyes moved over me, my plain dress, my simple hair, and she smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "You must know," she said softly, "people talk. They say you trapped him. They say you are only here for what he has." My heart shook. I wanted to scream, to defend myself. But no words came. When she left, the house felt colder than ever. That night, Michael noticed my silence. "What happened?" he asked. I looked at him, tears in my eyes, but I could not speak. The fear, the doubt, the shame, they were too heavy. He reached across the table, touched my hand, and whispered, "Anna, I chose you. Not them. Not their words. Only you." For the first time, I felt that maybe, just maybe, love was not only about survival. After Clara's visit, my heart was not calm. Her words echoed like a dark song, "They say you trapped him." Each time I looked at Michael, I felt a wall between us. I feared he, too, would one day think the same. One evening, as we ate dinner, I could not hold it any more. "Michael," I said softly, "why me? You could have chosen someone rich, beautiful, closer to your age. Why me?" He put down his fork. His eyes were calm but strong. "Because you are honest, Anna. Because when you look at me, I feel seen. Not as a man with money. Not as an old man. Just as, myself." His words warmed me, but the doubt still hurt. Days passed. Clara appeared again, this time at his shop. I saw them talking when I went to bring him lunch. She touched his arm lightly, smiling. My stomach turned cold. That night, I could not sleep. Jealousy and fear filled me. Was I only a shadow in his life? Was Clara the one he truly wanted? The next day, I made a choice. I packed a small bag. My hand shook as I folded my dress. When Michael returned, he saw the bag by the door. "Anna," he asked, voice heavy. "Are you leaving me?" Tears burned my eyes. "I don't want to be your mistake. I don't want to be the reason people laugh at you." He stepped closer, his voice low but firm. "Listen to me. I don't care about their voices. I care about you. Do you think I would open my home, my life, my heart, if I did not want you here?" I froze. My breath caught. He took my hands in his. His skin was rough, warm, alive. "Anna, love is not about what people say. It is about what we build. And I want to build it with you. Even if it is hard. Even if it takes time." Something broke inside me, the fear, the doubt, the shame. Tears fell, but they were light, like rain after a storm. I dropped the bag. I leaned into his chest. For the first time, I whispered, "I don't want money. I want you." His arms closed around me. The house felt safe again. Months turned into years. Clara stopped coming. People still whispered, but their voices grew softer as time passed. I found peace in small things, the smell of fresh bread, the sound of rain on our roof, the way Michael's hand reached for mine in silence. Did I marry for money? Yes. At first. I wanted safety. I wanted to escape hunger and fear. But life surprised me. It gave me something I never expected: respect, kindness, and a slow, steady love. Love is not always fire. Sometimes it is wood, strong and lasting. Sometimes it is rain, quiet but endless. Sometimes it is a promise kept, even when the world does not understand. And in the end, I learned. You can marry for money. But if you stay, if you open your heart, you might just discover something richer.